Two. We live. Well, when we do post this, we'll make sure that y'all got to get in the inbox. You guys got to, do the whole thing, share, comment, whatnot. We got a very special guest. Um, I guess it wouldn't be PC if I say fellow comedian because she's not a fellow. We have a co-comedian on C Talk today. But C Talk stuff to make your C's walk. You know how it goes. Share this content. Make sure you get in the comments. If you want to be on C Talk, make sure you hit me up, inbox me. Any questions that you may have, we'll address them and whatnot when this posts. Also, if you guys want to donate, slavery's over. Seen all that before. $, Logic God Man, Venmo at Logic God Man. We'll have our special guest, Khiana Jean, put her Cash App or her Venmo or the way you can get a hold of her if you want to write her a check or a money order or something. Yep. Looking out for you, sis. She also takes a little bit, takes the leftover money on your Starbucks gift card. So put that in the comments, so you can, say and interact with her. But why don't you just go ahead and tell them who you are and who you be and why you here? Like, let's talk about it.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm here. My name is Khiana. I'm originally from Youngstown, Ohio, but I'm in Tacoma, Washington right now, and I'm here, to talk that talk. Peace and love and hair grease with Ahmad. So Logic Ahmad. So
Logic, amen.
Amen.
We gotta work on your Midwest accent, okay?
The Midwest. I'm from the Midwest. We talk.
We just gotta work on it. We gotta work on getting it out. So you say amen instead of aman. No, it's fine. Let's go ahead.
Oh. What kind of accent did I have before?
I don't know. I think it was a Midwest accent that made me Aman when it's Amen. Nah, people make that mistake. It's Aman in a different language, in a different dialect. So I'm not really tripping on that. But
it's amen at the end of a prayer. It's amen too.
I prefer Amen. You know what I'm saying? Even though I am a man.
Okay.
But reason why I wanted to have Khiana on the show, fellow comedian, co-comedian, and whatnot. Met her when we were doing a workshop. What's the cat's name? Overton.
Yes, Mr. Rick Overton.
Yeah, Rick Overton. Was doing a little pop-up master class over, I think in Spanaway or somewhere over in there.
Somewhere.
Somewhere in Tacoma over there. It gets all blurred. Tacoma, Lakewood, Spanaway, Lacey. It all gets blurry when you're over there. But and we were just working out jokes and doing things. I had Chris Zapata on the show before.
Yeah, I know Chris.
Yeah, we all know each other. We're mutual friends. I just really like to have comedians on the show because there's so much intersection that comedy plays with hip hop, also community activism and things of that nature. So I just wanted to have her on, especially as a Black woman. I haven't had a Black woman comedian on the show yet.
I'm the first. Hey.
Yeah, you're first.
Yes.
This is a Black History Month moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the way in July, honey. 365.
But yeah, when Black History Month comes around, you can be like, I was the first Black woman on C Talk.
Okay. I'm gonna own that.
Yeah. So go ahead and tell them where you're from. You know what I'm saying? And
where
how
I'm
you
from. Yeah. Okay, so I'm from Ohio. As I mentioned, I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. The east side, you got to say that. Let them know.
East Claret. Go ahead.
Yes, he's from the south side, I believe, but he went to Warren High School. So, that's right. Go Buckeyes. I'm a creative person. I was born this way, in and out of comedy. But officially, I will say I'm doing comedy for 3 years. What got me into comedy? COVID. Being locked in the house.
That was funny to you? People just, thousands of people dying. That was funny. COVID got you into comedy?
I needed some relief. So what I needed was I had just moved to Washington, and I was losing, like my way, being inside the house and everything's getting shut down. Moving here, problems in your relationships, you be around somebody too long and you got to get out. So I just kind of stumbled across live music again. There were things popping up, and I needed to get out to do things that made me feel like myself again, alive. So it was like that heartbeat, just boom, 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 calling me. So I took a class at a local comedy club here, and I wanted to do it because I wanted to manage this guy, and he wasn't taking the class. So I said, I'm going to surprise him. And I went and I took the class and I got back on stage, and this is like, that type of feeling. So
you said you wanted to manage. You said you wanted to manage who?
A comedian here. I said, I can be your manager. Like I can tell you about stage presence and everything. And
Okay.
I'm like, are you taking the I'm like, are you taking the class? And he's like, no, I'm not even taking it. So I got in the class, called myself Surprise Him. And surprise, rebirth.
Okay, so you care to share what class you took? What class?
Yeah, I took Nate Jackson's super funny comedy class, the 101.
The reason, it's just a one-on-one class.
No, it was a group. It was like a group.
That's what I was thinking. Because the reason why I asked, because I was supposed to be in that, but I enrolled. I was trying to enroll too late because Nate's a personal friend of mine, and he was like, "Nah, bro, we already, what I'm saying, I don't even want to do you like that, brother. I would love to take your money." Then I was like, "Then take my money, then." But he was like, "Nah, it wouldn't do. You already missed, a little chunk. I think I missed like 2 sessions." And he's like, "But I know you were in that class. I think Chris was in that class.
Yeah,
Bo Blast.
He was in one of them. I don't think he was in the first one. See, I took the class twice. I didn't fully graduate the first time. So I waited a couple courses and I took it again, maybe 2 or 3 classes later. But yeah, he's had a couple sessions with the class.
Yeah. I have the last show that I went to that Nate was on stage. He did no material, and I'm sitting there in the crowd like, this guy's not gonna do no content. And he mentioned it. He was like, "Yeah, I've been on the stage for like, a whole hour, and I ain't really."
Was that the crowd works show?
Just working the crowd. And the point I'm trying to make is, even when he was just working the crowd, even though I wanted him so bad to do some content, he was still good. I don't think I've never seen Nate stumble or fumble anything on stage. You know what I'm saying? I've never seen him anything. He's just really good, quick on his feet. So, shout out to all the local comedians: Ashley, Chris, Bo Blast, Isaiah Anderson. I don't know if you know that brother or not, but there's a lot of really good comedians here in the town. So shout out to all the comedians who are doing their things. I think I met a brother named Amos there.
He was at the place. Yeah,
and I've met him before too, because and we're going to talk about comedy, stand-up comedy culture and whatnot. It's a very interesting culture and whatnot. So, how have you used comedy? Like, tell me what it's like. I want to know, like, what was it like to bomb for the first time? What was it like to do, really well? A lot of comedians call it killing a stage and killing it. I like to give life. Tell me about a time you lifed it. Tell me about your best stand-up, performance you've had. I don't know. You're pretty young in the game, 3 years. You know what some comics say is
8 to 10. 8 to 10 off the top. That's your sentence right now.
Nah. When you say you're 3 years old, that means that's how old you are in comedy years. So you're really you're 3.
Google Gaga.
So, but I'm I've been doing comedy stand up since I was 18. So I'm over 30 years old. I've been doing it off and on. So I still got some muscle memory and stuff. But just talk about your experience on stage. Tell me about the best times. Tell me about bombing if you have, because I got those stories.
Oh yeah. I think bombing is a part of the process.
Yeah.
So someone told me you don't You don't take a L. You take a L, but you don't really take a L. You take your learning. So it's a part of the learning experience. And killing it, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say I killed it yet. You tell somebody that's been in the game for a long time, like, you killed it. Yeah, no, you didn't. Go back and try again. Did they laugh? I'm like, but I got laughs for a minute, blah, blah, blah. And it's just kind of the timing of it. You just gotta make your time, earn your time. And even if you're funny, you never are that funny just yet. I think in
That's what
terms of
I think that's what you got to keep telling yourself, to always, humble yourself and always stay, stay on point.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, tell me how you handle it. How do you handle it? Like a joke, throw a joke out there, doesn't go as planned. You're like, oh man, I thought that was gonna get him. How do you, and if God forbid, if you have a whole set of jokes like that, how do you bounce back? How does it feel? How does it
That
feel?
happened. That's happened to me in my very young career. I did a whole set based on it was one of my first features, so like 15 minutes, and I was the closer. And I did a set. Um, it was mainly towards relationship. Usually, this place has a nice female crowd, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna connect and resonate with the women. And I went there, and it was male dominant. And I was like, wait, did they not see the flyer? Did they not see it was me? Like, what kind of show did these men think they were coming to? So, and in that situation, I did the set, some people laugh, but they didn't laugh how I expected. So, what I learned from that is read the room, know your audience, and always have a backup plan. So I would call that, an L, a learning experience.
Yeah. How much do you think that has to do with you being a woman? Because in comedy circles, like I said, it's a different culture. A lot of men, too many men, and I would say collectively, on the percentage, a lot of men ain't really into women doing comedy and doing stand-up. And then sometimes when they do stand up, if they do it really well, they like to compare them to men that do very well instead of letting that person be who they are, regardless of gender. We do that a lot with sports too. Like, me coaching basketball. Oh, she's really good. She plays like a dude, and rappers. We do that. There's a lot of intersection that stand-up comedy, shares with rappers. When a woman's, really doing good, killing it, bringing life to that mic, she gets compared to one of the great male rappers. So how much
Ooh.
do you think that? Yeah, they do. Yeah. I mean, how many times you hear Lil Kim get compared to Biggie, even though he wrote her lyrics, a lot of her lyrics, but you get what I'm saying.
Well, I think in terms of gender, she, her, me, that type of deal. Um, I think greatness is greatness. And I had a conversation with my grandfather the other day. I said, man, grandpa, sometimes people don't think women are funny. And he said something so real. He said, well, maybe they don't know the art. Maybe they don't know comedy. Maybe they don't know talent, because a dog can be funny. So when you think about it in terms of a pet being funny or a bird being funny, then that's when you get back to the real core of what's really funny. And you take the humanistic aspect out, the gender aspect out, but it happens. And I even tailored some of, because sometimes if my voice sounds too high, it's like, oh my God, I gotta lower, just a little bit to seem more, to be taken more seriously. But it's part of life. It's been going on for a very long time, and you just have to stand in who you are, male or female.
Yeah, it's just kind of like racism. It's like no
Mm,
matter where you go, you can things are interchangeable.
yes.
You can just interchange, but racism is always going to be there. Whether you're in the workplace, whether you're going to see a game, you know what I'm saying? Downtown, whether you're in the museum, whether you're shopping, whether you're taking something back to the store. And I feel like the same way happens with like sexism and misogyny and misogynoir with Black women specifically. It's like
Yes.
the sexism that you're going to find in other spots, because we're going to talk about you being in the military. It doesn't like go away when you go into comedy. You know what I'm saying? What has your experience been in the short time that you're only 3 years old? in your short time of men in comedy, you know what I'm saying, trying to take advantage of this 3-year-old. No, I'm just messing.
You know what?
But how have men embraced you in all seriousness? How have men embraced you in this? Is that something you've experienced?
Oh yeah, my experience has always been great, honestly. And I thank God for that, because it could be worse. I just kind of, maybe I have maybe someone's looking out for me on the other end, but honestly, it's kind of like the big brother, big sister approach. And I think if you have your boundaries and you know who you are, you can just tailor it to anything. Like, no, I'm not getting involved in that. No, I'm not doing that. It's all about being self-aware of who you are, where you want to be in this world in general. And so in this specter of comedy, it's really how you present yourself. So
Yeah, because Tiffany Haddish, she's one of the women that talk about it a lot. And I think Ida Rodriguez, she'll talk about it. But the point I'm trying to make is she'll talk about how men try to barter and exchange, stage time, for romantic relationships and things.
I've heard about that, but
yeah,
maybe I'm a baby, so I haven't experienced it
only
yet.
3 years old.
I'm just baby.
Yeah. Okay. Talk about the military and how is it? How has the military AWOL'd itself into your comedy? See what I did there?
Mm-hmm. It's it's really, actually, it is kind of AWOL. I haven't really talked about the military yet, so it's kind of,
we have to talk about that. There's
it
so
got to show up sometime. It got to report. So
I know you got some
day.
funny stories, and all you got to
do
is just craft them. That's why we got a workshop together, me, you, Chris, and everyone. Because you asked me when we pre-brief,
Yes.
That's a new word. Put it in your lexicon.
Let me write that down. Yes, pre-brief.
Yeah, but you can't use it when you're on stage because the culture of comedy is out you. But listen.
Oh.
We're gonna talk about that too.
You ghostwrite. I thought you was ghostwriting that for me.
But no, you asked me, it's like, you're a principal and you're an educator. Do you talk about that when you're on stage? And I was just like, yeah, no, I haven't. And if I do it, it has to be with so much anonymous tone, in all seriousness, because HR will be just a knocking. You know what I'm saying? Right. And also it's an ethics thing.
Yes.
Because I am jam-packed with so much content when it comes to being a principal, that it's kind of like having a family with a lot of drama.
Ooh.
With that power and that access and that privilege of having so much content comes responsibility, because you don't want to be putting your family member that's addicted to drugs on blast. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're using an alias, we know you're talking about Malik.
Right. You talk about Sheila.
You do. You know who you
talk. Sheila can't cook no greens.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, and especially when you're talking about relationships.
Oh yeah.
Now, I know and I'm doing this on purpose. I'm being corny on purpose, but I'm gonna stop playing out the 3-year-old thing. But it's my last time saying it, I promise. But you're only 3 years old. But even in relationships, I've had more than one person that I've been dating or been like, hey man, because I'm also a writer too. Hey man, I can't have you, getting on stage and using this as, content. So it really, you have to be responsible in the relationships that you're in. That how are you going to set the boundaries, you know what I'm saying, and making sure your relationship doesn't make it on that stage. And sometimes that may mean that you're missing out on some great material. What do you think about that?
Balance. What are your morals? What do you want to? You create your stage presence. So if you want to talk about your relationship, maybe you should talk to the person first. Like, hey, baby, do you like this? You like this joke? And sound kind of familiar, like, oh yeah, we just talked about that last week. But it's really just your boundaries and what you want to put out there, and you got to go home with them. So you want to make sure that it coincides with your life. So
Yeah, it's kind of like, I look at it as if I got on stage and I started a whole bunch of punchlines based on my relationship with someone I was in, with, whether it's a platonic relationship, friendships is like that too. Like my homeboy, I have to ask him, man, is it too soon? I got a homeboy who got in a car accident and flew through the windshield and was in a coma. And I'm like, hey, man, I just need to let you know, there's some funny aspects of that. I need you to let me know when the statute of limitations is up, because I got some. He said, oh, man, go ahead, let it go. But it's like, if you get on stage and start telling some jokes and people are laughing, it's comparable to someone going to, a cookout, and then them walking around the cookout or the barbecue talking about your low credit score and everyone's laughing. So it's like, then the stuff ain't that funny. So you got to be responsible with with your talent and your skill.
I think in that aspect, you just got to know what's appropriate. So at a barbecue, that's definitely not appropriate because a fight might break out. You're dealing with people's egos. And I think a comedian's job is to make light of our egos, of everything that we go through in life. We can always look back and laugh about it. And if you have that gift, or trying to develop that gift of making people laugh kind of at the things that we go through in life, that's how you kind of weave that into it.
Right.
It can become a therapeutic thing. It could a comedic relief, if you say.
Right. What about you doing comedy full time?
I would love to. I would love to. Honestly, it's a career. It's a big dreamer's career, and it's kind of like comedy, but if you take it seriously, it's feasible. There's people that do comedy full time right now.
So how would that work? Let me ask you a question. How would you respond because we talked earlier, and comedy is all about crass consumer, capitalism. It's like you have to feed the palate of the consumer. Mm-hmm. So how would you respond if you had to be stuck in a certain lane of comedy that you really wasn't feeling and you really didn't like, but that's what pays the bills? What would you do?
I don't know. I would probably ask someone for guidance who's been doing it for a long time. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like this is creative for me. I don't feel like it's working. So again, it just all comes down to who you are and what you need to do. But you also have to realize that you do have to pay your bills. And some people work at the post office for 25 years, and they don't necessarily like that job, but it pays the bills. So I think you have to have a place of gratitude. Say, hey, I'm doing what I love to do. And yeah, you just wait, what's that? I'm sorry.
No, you good. Come on.
Yeah, no. So yeah, you just I'm like, wait, what happened? What was that?
Come on, you gotta stay focused here. Focus. Go ahead.
Yeah, but you really just you grow in your lane. So when you get to that avenue, maybe you'll cross that bridge when you get there. I'm not at that point yet, so I can only answer it how I would think, I would navigate from creative lane to creative lane.
Right. C Talk is all about, it's a dialogue. Of course, it's an interview, but it's more of a dialogue and a conversation. That's why I talk so much. That's my excuse. But anyways, from my experiences, I was once on a podcast panel and, with Aries Pierce. And I was, I was very grateful to be on there with him. And we were talking, and it was another, person on there hosting the show and whatnot. And what I was explaining to him is what makes you a powerful comedian and not just a clown and not just a comic and not just a person who tells jokes is when you start doing research and education behind the humor. and understand that humor is an actual emotion. You know,
Mm,
you notice like when a baby is born and before they can even learn how to talk, they know how to smile and laugh.
right.
Even that stuff that might not even be funny, they're just mimicking what
Exactly.
the front of them is doing. So that's how we know that there's some science to humor. And my point I'm trying
This
to
is psychology. Yes, it's psychology
yeah,
to it.
there's actual not just psychology, but to add on to what you're saying, there's actually there's biology to it too, like how your
Hmm.
body responds, the release of endorphins, the
That's right. Yeah.
releases when it comes from laughter. That's why people just want to laugh. That's why what's your guy's name? The doctor, Patch Adams. That's why Patch Adams' work was so influential in the medical field, because he was literally healing people through laughter. He would come in with a
Right.
red nose and things, and these people were actually releasing endorphins and healing properties within them from laughing. So
Yeah.
the point I'm trying to make is, if I had to do some corny stuff that I didn't like, it was slapstick or some physical comedy, and it's not really the dry humor that I really like, or stuff that's racial. I like a lot of racial stuff and uncomfortable
Hmm.
comedy. Then I would do it, but it would be followed by a commentary.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why comedians such like Dave Chappelle have found so much success, even through, and what we're going to transition to what we're going to talk about next. Um, Even through the cancel culture stage, he has still been able to stand on his square, because he can laugh, ha ha ha. But no, seriously, let me tell you a little something about the griot. You know,
Right.
he'll break down, get real serious, and be like, "Hey, man, I'm telling a story."
Right.
This and that's why his last comedy special was so powerful, because it doubled as a thesis statement also about the trans community, about just his relationship with that community. And he wasn't trying to be right. He wasn't trying to be wrong. He was just trying to be human. Like,
That's right. Yeah.
I got some blind spots. So I'm all for people making money, man. I'm especially our people, but I'm also about educating on people of the why
Right.
behind everything that you do and whatnot. Let's talk a little bit about cancel culture. What,
Um,
what? Okay, first thing that comes to mind when I say cancel culture, it looked like you was about to go into a whole TED talk. Go ahead.
Cancel culture, you know what? It's more like bully culture in some aspects.
Hmm.
Um, and you have to be careful. It's more like hateration culture too, because if someone doesn't like anything, I think there needs to be a cancel culture for cancel culture. Like, where do we draw the lines? You say something like, I don't like hot dogs. Oh, you don't like hot dogs? Here come 50 people. They get 50 more people. They might just not have a care for hot dogs. But it's that easy. If you can make a valid point about anything that you don't like, you can get a group of people together and you can um, play cancel culture. But I think there has to be a council for cancel culture. Like, all right, why are we canceling this? Like, what's your bring it to the table? It has to be some explanation behind it, not just you don't like it or it offends you. Beginning of time, everybody has been offended. You've been offended by something, but do you want to cancel it? No. That's called adulting. You either, you like it or you don't. You don't have to cancel it.
Okay, I'm gonna push back a little bit. I mean, I agree with you. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I do. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and end where I begin. I like to do that. However, there's still a journey. You still have
Yeah.
to travel that journey in between. How do I get there? So I got a little bit of pushback. You said cancel culture is really bully culture, but people who are in cancel culture, ironically, will say the people that they're canceling. Like,
Well, I
which
think the
people?
people who they're canceling, they have a platform. So if you don't like the platform, why would you show up to it? What was your purpose to cancel it? So you have an agenda. So if there's an agenda, it's a bully agenda.
Okay, I mean, but okay, but like, how do we determine what people show up for? If something's on, like, coming down someone's timeline, or whatever, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to you going to a comedy show or you clicking on a Netflix series or you going to a movie that, you know, you can read, you know what I'm saying, a synopsis of what it's about before you get in there. Like, how do we determine? It's like, my question is like, what are the rules for comedy? You know what I'm saying?
That's what we're saying. That's what I'm saying. I agree. There's no rules. You know, I think someone needs to kind of put a button in that and kind of taper it up a little bit. You know, um, people will be offended, and there's some things that, all right, that was a little bit much. That's why we have the ratings. Isn't that how ratings became like rated PG, rated R? You know, it should be like rated NC, not canceling this. Like, you can't cancel that. Like, don't cancel it, because then you basically tailor creativity to what you want it to be. No one canceled Picasso's, you know, when he was, you know, you have to just really be mindful of the artist and maybe put it in a different lane. And if you don't like that lane, don't drive in it.
So you don't. So what do you think about the rules? Because I've heard throughout my span of being a, you know, comedic writer, a humorist, and being a stand-up comedian, like, the rules are you can punch up and you can punch laterally, but
Right.
you can't punch down.
No punch down. No punching down. Protect yourself at all times if we punching, you know, so you just keep that in mind as well. There's an art to comedy. I don't know everything about it, but sometimes people are going to say things that people don't like. So who are, if in an art form that's so subjective, how can we determine what you like or not? You know, it's just a hard thing to do.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it's a balancing thing that you have to do. All in all, you have to be willing to take responsibility and accountability to how someone responds to anything you say or do in this realm. Someone asked me as a consumer who's not a comedian, because I was defending the art form. I do think it's an art form. And I told them, quite frankly, the only violation in comedy is when something's not funny. That's my rule. Like, that just wasn't funny, bro. And they were like, man, do you think that racist jokes are funny? Some of them, absolutely. Absolutely. You know why? Because I've internalized them and I've told them in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all told the joke, you know, saying that someone's so dark. We have colorism jokes all the time. Someone's so dark, you know, they look like, you know, 5 past midnight.
Right.
They in night class and they counted them absent.
Right.
But we joke about but there's all these weird rules,
Mm-hmm.
different rules in comedy. Like, I feel like you can only joke about rape. It's getting different now. You can only joke about rape if it's a dude. But if you joke about rape about a woman, now you can't do that. And I'd be like, oh, okay.
It's a little touchy. It's a touchy subject, but
right.
you know, I think comedians are tellers of truth. They kind of speak the truth in a way where it makes you think.
Right. But people don't have any problems just casually talking about dropping the soap. Oh man. Yeah, you know, oh man, have you ever been to prison? Yeah, man. Did you drop the soap? Make sure you don't drop the soap. Like, that's funny. Like, that's funny to people, and that's just like low-hanging fruit. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is this: it's like, the rule is you have to be able to read the room, and the rule is you have to take responsibility for it. That means if you get beat up, that's the rule. Take it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you can't defend yourself and fight back. Don't be like, oh man, I don't even know why. You know what I'm saying? She got mad at me and the whole family beat me up because I made fun of their kid because he had Down syndrome. Bro, you know why. Cut it out.
Yeah.
You know exactly.
You're going to eat that beat up. You deserve that one.
My other thing is like, you know, you got to be able to preserve yourself as a respected, you know, artist, and also defend your jokes too. Like, why are you telling this? Like, sometimes, you know, you can be telling jokes and you have no why to it. You know what I'm saying? And I think the people who have jokes that age really well are the comedians who have jokes that they can explain the why, or the why is embedded in the actual joke.
Right.
The same person asked me, is there any well, you know, they didn't like they don't like jokes about rape. They said that's not funny. And I get that often. Um but it's usually like when it comes to like women, but they also have a problem with racial jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And make racial jokes. Like if a white guy got on stage, then this is what people always say, and they start making racial jokes. And I'll be like, question is it funny? Was it appropriate? You don't go to work making racial jokes. But if
Right.
you're in the privacy and the safety of a space, then yeah, you might want to let a couple go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm the person who will, when they're feeling uncomfortable, I'll tell a joke because that's my coping mechanism.
Yeah.
But the only joke, the only genre of comedy that I think is inappropriate and should be a rule against is prank comedy. And the reason why I say that is because the target or the recipient doesn't know it's coming. They don't. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that's cool. I don't think that's like, I think it's funny, but I can understand why, like, it's different than showing up to a comedy show and then
Right.
oh man, I can't deal with these jokes. Get off the stage. And I've seen like people like Godfrey be like, man, I am not a clown. I'm a comedian. I will, you know,
Yeah.
feature, you know what I'm saying? And he'd
Yeah.
be,
He's one of my favorites too.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. So it's like when people do that, when they show up and it's not a prank, when they show up to a comedy show and they want to, you know, be outraged by a joke, it's like showing up to a boxing match and being like, oh my God, they got knocked out and he was bleeding. I got blood.
Right. What did you expect?
Into a boxing match.
Exactly.
To know that. How do you deal with hecklers?
I'm still learning, and honestly, but I think if someone wants to be a part of the show, we welcome you with open arms. Until it gets too, because some people they actually come to comedy shows to heckle.
Yeah,
Um,
they can mess up
so
the whole set.
yeah, I think there's security for that, and then if you just got to read the person. That's why I think comedians are much more than what people give them credit for. Uh, they're emotionally intelligent because you have to know, okay, what is this person? Did this person come out for their birthday? Are they having a good time? Or, this person rent's due and they need some comedic relief. You kind of have to kind of channel into what is the actual heckling. Is it heckling or is it something else?
Yeah. Yeah. I've had some comedians not have good nights and then want to, I like to sit in the front. I like to sit in the front. And usually when I sit in the front, I give them that look. If they start going in on me, I'll give them that look like, and I'll literally say, bruh, I really do this. I'm gonna stand a
Right.
comedian. Just move along. The majority of them, like, oh, you do, and they will move along because they know that going back and forth for me ain't gonna really work because I'll mess up the whole set because I'm gonna go back and forth.
Yeah.
The situation when I got two stories about heckling and
Two stories, true stories?
two true stories.
Okay.
Heckling and alleged heckling. The first was the real heckling. I
Mhm.
was about 17 years old. I had an agent. You can relate to this because he used to take me up to the NCO club up on
Mhm.
4th.
Okay, military.
And he was not supposed to be doing that. But he was getting paid by the NCO club to put talent on stage, and he was my manager. So
Mhm.
he's taking me up there. And as long as I told the jokes, got off stage, I wasn't supposed to be doing it. It was definitely illegal. But as long as, I wasn't getting drinks or anything, he would let me in the back door. So I'm on the stage doing jokes, bombing. Absolutely. I was a terrorist up there. I was bombing people. It's like I'm wasting people's time. I mean, I think that someone could legitimately come and ask me for the, their time back. Did I not? And I have to be like, I'm sorry, I'll pay you, man. What you take, credit or debit? But I was there telling really bad jokes. And this guy was just like, man, da, da, da. And I don't know what happened. I've always been a smart aleck. And I was just like, man, I know your wife, bro.
Ooh,
and next to his wife. And he was like, hey, man. I was like, no, I know your wife.
Did you make it out alive after that?
So that was the only time that I got any kind of emotional response for the crowd. And as a comedian, even if you get that's better than a. So I was like, yeah, but yeah, I had to get snuck out the back door that day. Snuck out. So
he was about to catch you outside.
Yeah. I was only 17, and this guy.
So did you know his wife?
What's up?
Did you know his wife, or was you just?
No, I was just standing, man. I never will forget the imagery. The visual was a dude with a white girl. You know what I'm saying? This is when my super duper black days too. So I was like, I had some other stuff ready for him too. I was probably gonna go jungle fever on him. I was just ready. You know what I'm saying? But because that's what I do. We call it ranking. That's what we call it. It's really called the dozens, or
exactly.
Getting on someone's koofy. So that's what I really was good at that. So material was failing horribly. So I was just like, man, I was supposed to have to go to dozens on them, but they got me up out of there. The other situation is I went with a date, and it was kind of like triple dating, and kind of I was being introduced with the other couples, and it was on a Friday. And so it was it was after a long work day, as a principal. And so we were just sitting there, and a lot of people, if you really know me, I can take a nap anywhere. Anywhere. I can take.
You got narcolepsy?
No, I don't. I have sleep deprivation.
Okay.
So, hey, man, I'm like a homeless person. I can take a nap anywhere. It could be a fireworks show. It could be a dang gun, a shootout above me, and I can just, So I'm sitting there, and this white dude is on stage, and he's telling jokes, and I'm just, and then finally I was just like, man, forget it. And I just, I was just knocked out. And he's like, and then I heard something, and then I heard a nudge from my date, and I wake up. He's like, I mean, you should come to the show and and pass out and da. Because he had tried to like engage the front of the crowd. He wasn't doing very well at all. He wasn't doing very well. And I had told him before I went to bed, and I didn't do it on purpose. I was just tired. I said, man, come on, bro, move on. I do this, bro. I'm like, he's like, oh yeah, he does this, da. But he moved on. When I went to bed, he was like, oh man, so you do comedy, and you're just gonna come to another comedian show and just and fall asleep? That's just the biggest disrespect. You should know, out of all the things, that's disrespectful. I'm like, bro, just do your set. I'm literally saying this to him. Just go on, man. I said, go on, man. Do your set, bro. Go on. I didn't even say my bad. I'm not gonna apologize for taking a nap. I paid 2 drink minimum, 2 item minimum, whatever. Man, go on, do your set. I just kept saying that. This guy called security on me. Now, good thing for me, about earlier in the year, I was on that same stage as him, opening up for some, I was on there with Ralph Porter. And actually, me and Nate shared a stage, you know what I'm saying? So when security literally came and was like, come on, man. Come on, bro. You got to go. Anyways, yeah.
What'd you do? Now I'm invested in this story. What happened?
That's exactly what I did. I said, anyways,
I'm
up now. Let's go.
Right,
I want to see you finish your set, dude. Yeah, let's go. I did not move. I didn't get up. You know what I did?
People fall asleep in church. People fall asleep in church.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
You fall asleep on the Lord.
Yeah. And I'm a petty guy. I'm a Pisces. So you know what I did after the show? I went up to him. Hey, what's up, bro? Yeah, what's up? How you doing? Oh man, you just so disrespectful. And he's still on this. Man, you're just disrespectful. That's what you did. I'm like, really, dude? Really? Just work on your jokes, bro. Just work on your set. And then security came to say, "Hey man, sorry man, that guy was being a joke, man, a jerk, man. Sorry about that." And da da da. So it's just like that was the time that, you know what I'm saying, like I was just like the alleged heckling, like just move it along. Because if someone's falling asleep, I don't want to draw too much attention to them. You know what I'm saying? Especially if I'm not getting no laughs out of it, you know? You
It
know?
was like a reverse cancel culture for me.
It was, huh?
They tried to cancel your audience membership.
Right.
You're out of
So,
here, buddy.
so you know, with being 3 years into the game, like who are some of your influences and who you like as comedian?
So I always love comedy. It's always been a part of me. Class clown, whatever you want to call it. I like to call myself, even back then, I knew I wasn't a clown. I was a class entertainer. Some of my earliest influence, of course, in this no male in no particular order, no gender bias. Uh, I love Lucille Ball. I love Montana or Montana Taylor. I love Richard Pryor, of course. Um, Mostly all the female comedians. Yeah. So I do have a lot of very good, diverse influences. Um, I don't really try to say, because I notice if you say who's some of your favorites, people are automatically, oh, I see it. I see it in your comedy. I see it. And this is like,
Yeah, that's the I ain't gonna lie, that's
I
the
try
first
to keep that on the low,
that's
like
the first that I ain't gonna lie,
I
that's the
want to
first thing that when you say Lucille Ball, I'm like, do you like physical comedy? Like what's your favorite
I
like
think the Lucy thing is how she's so it's almost like an Amelia Bedelia style, like, oh, kind of like,
Mhm.
wait a minute. So it's kind of like she's always seemed so unaware of what's
Yeah,
happening, but she's always so sure of
yeah,
what's happening. So I like that style with her, and it's funny, and she's the smart one between her and Ethel, apparently. Sometimes if you watch the show, but yeah, I think it's almost an unawareness of, does she know what she's doing? And she's like, ah. So I like that style of
are
comedy.
there any what are the similarities between who you are as a person off stage and who you are on stage? Are you pretty much the same person?
Ooh, you know what? I think you are the same person. You just tap into another side of you.
Mm,
So yeah, you don't like transform like a transformer. We don't call Captain Planet or nothing. We just you tap into a more comedic side of how to tell your story. Comedians are storytellers. They might tell your story or tell a story that resonates. So um, you just tap into a different side of you,
mhm.
of expression.
Okay. Talk a little bit about, and we got about another 10 minutes. And what, with Seed Talk, what we do after the end of every show, we'll take what we've learned, and then we talk about what's the plan of action. We also, a new aspect and feature of Speak On. I mean, not Speak On. God, I keep saying that. That's the other.
Focus, right?
Yeah, focus. Of Seed Talk is, what's the homework, and we give homework to because it's the why, it's the educator in me. But we talked about marriage and you talk about divorce. Talk about the comedy and the content that comes out of that. And what's that look like for you?
um, Actually, I'm still working on that, but it's a learning process as you go. Obviously, you learn that you're not the only person in the world who's going through divorce or who's been through divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes, it's a therapeutic way to kind of, it's almost like free therapy. But I don't want to take anything away from the therapist, because you tell that to a therapist and they be like, all right, here's my bill. So for me, it helped me realize that, I'm not so isolated in this. And it's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's just a thing that happens in life. And, sometimes I'll say I'm recently divorced and you'll hear a female say, woo! Like, yes. So it's just like, okay, I found my people, So tell me about that life. Or you'll have someone come up to you and say, baby, you're gonna be okay. So it's those different reactions that you get from people. Um, and I just think that it's just another form of having that platform and having that conversation. So when people say we need to have a conversation, um, this is a form of communicating.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been divorced for going on like 11 years now, and there's so much comedy that comes out of that pain. And I know that there's you know, responsibility that comes from that. I would think that I would hate to be a person who is going through a divorce with a comedian because it's like, ah, God dang it. You're gonna be on blast. You can be on blast.
Material.
Yes, material. You know what I'm saying? That time you got drunk and you peed in the bed. Oh, oh man, you know what I'm saying? Especially if the person that you cheated on, doesn't look as good as you. Oh, that's not good. You know what I'm saying?
But I do have a question. So do you, when you do talk about, because I haven't went in depth in some things, but when you do have that conversation, do you have boundaries? I think we touched on that, but do you have those boundaries in that? Like, is there some type of HIPAA rules to divorce and marriage? Like, how do you do that?
Well, there's actual legal rules to that. You could get sued for slander if you say it, and libel if you write it, and both if you write and say it.
So how can you tell your son the story?
This is what I would suggest you do. I would just use either fake names or um, just change it just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So they can't trace it back to them, or you can combine many relationships into one.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do. You know,
Yeah, because you don't want to write a tell all. You don't want to do a tell all.
right?
You just want to do a tell all for you. You don't want to be on like first 48. You're not snitching.
And
Kind of dry snitching though.
what makes it even more complicated is when you have children, and that's one thing I do want to do. I don't want to make fun of the children's mother.
Mm-hmm.
They have to endure that. It's
That's
like,
right.
man, so that puts them in an awkward situation. So I think the best thing to do is to, for instance, you would never know if the relationship I was talking about was someone I was dating in high school or the person I was married with, because I'm going to leave out the very intricate details. It's going to be like, oh, he ain't talking about someone he was dating when he was a sophomore in high school. He talking about his marriage. So I'll leave out just a little bit of the details and tell a story, about marriage, but you'd be like, oh, maybe that was before marriage. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like green material.
Right.
It's just like, it's that material where, you know, you say you hungry, you know what I mean? And the other person be like, I'm not really hungry. But then when you get your plate, they always trying to dig in your plate. I'm like, dog, like, what are we doing? Like that, there's some details that I could, put in there, you know what I'm saying? That could let you know if it was a marriage or a person I was dating in high school or college or, pre-marriage, but I'm not going to put that in there. Now,
But if you're good, I would say, oh, he's talking about my marriage, or he reminded me of my marriage, or he talking about
right.
Junie's marriage.
The
So
reason why
it's destination.
And the reason why I bring that up about marriage is because it's such green material and fertile material, because everyone goes through this. As soon as you said divorce and you talked about the scarlet letter and just pretty much just the marking on your forehead of like, I'm divorced. As soon as I thought about it, it's like, number one, I'm not alone. And number two, it's so embarrassing, but there's so much humor in that. And
Yeah.
then once you say it, be like, oh man, I went through that too. And that's why I'm saying, man, like, I think things would change about divorce if we treated divorce the way we, we treat, marriage. That's why I'm working on a whole thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I want to be a divorce planner.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
marriage. I want to be a divorce.
I will definitely put me on the road, put me on the payroll. I want to work there too. Divorcees only. Now, when you have something like that, will it be like, how do you if you were to have that? Would you only hire divorced people, or can you get some advice from people
I'm
who
not.
are
I'm
married?
not. I'm not going to release the details of my
Oh,
future
okay.
LLC because people like to steal ideas. But I will say this: I will give this
Copyrighted.
idea. There's going to be a registry for attorneys. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Ooh.
one of the items on the registry. You know how you go to like the Target and stuff, and you can
Mhm.
type it in and be like, oh, Logic's wedding, and he wants this, and this. You can type it in, on a website, and then one of the things on the registry is going to be the attorney. You know.
Pro bono.
Yeah, exactly. Also, vasectomy probably is going to be on the registry list too.
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, um, stuff like that. But anyways, we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna have to have a part 2 on this because there's so many things I want to talk about. And also I want to be able to look at some of your content and some of your jokes. I want to bring them. That will be like the part 2. Bring them to C Talk and like, tell me about this joke. You joke about this and just this, that, and the third. Why don't you tell them where you're gonna be at tonight?
Oh, tonight. Yes. All right.
Tell them where you're gonna
So
be at.
tonight, it's going to be, can you see that?
Yeah.
Wait.
Just tell them, bro, we can't see that.
Live comedy at Chi-Town Pizza in Tacoma. So on Pacific Avenue. So that's today.
Is that really in Tacoma? I guess it might be. I thought it was in Spanaway, but
yeah, I did too. If you're a bill collector, don't come. I don't have it. But if you come in to laugh, come on out. So
if you serving restraining orders and anti-harassment orders,
it ain't me. I'm not there. No.
Not there. Action based on what we talked about. What's the plan of action, you think?
So plan of action, more conversations like this, bringing more light to tragic and to tragedy. So just more of the same.
Mm-hmm. My plan of action also doubles as homework. I would say write down your experiences and find the humor in them.
Mm-hmm.
So like journaling. So if you're having a hard day or you're having a hard year, you're having a hard season, you just feel like you can't get out of it. It helps to write down the stuff and find the humor in it, and then to add on to what you said, and then share it with someone. Like some of my best therapy comes from me going through a tough time with an experience or another human being, writing it down in my mind, and thinking about how many jokes, can come out of it, and then sharing it with like my homeboy, and like that's how my brain is just wired. And now I'm just like on therapy autopilot now. It's like as soon as something bad happens to me, it's like boom. Now I'm thinking automatically, like, where are all the jokes at? There's so many jokes in that, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's like each one teach one, right?
Yep. Chi-Town Pizza tonight. That will be July 21st, Friday, July 21st. Chi-Town Pizza in Spanaway / the gray area in between the two. I think it's, check it out. She's going to be there. But that's also a hub where a lot of comedians show up.
It's a contest. It's a over 50 contest and under 50 contest. So you're going to get a lot of funny.
8:30 of funny. 8:30 I'm strive to make it. Yep. This has been C Talk. We out. We love you. Stay funny.